Hello everyone, and welcome back to another how-to video here on the channel. As you guys just saw our little zoom in there, we're going to be doing a how-to today on a Conrail BH1C ballast hopper. This was a car that was unique to Conrail. I don't believe any other railroads ended up with this specific kind of car. As you guys can see a few more going by right now on our train. They were a little bit shorter, and nobody's made these in HO scale that I'm aware of, so I kind of came up with a little Kitbash for these that gets them about 90% of the way there. They're not 100% perfect, but they're close enough for me. So sit back, relax, and enjoy, and maybe learn a thing or two as I show you how to build these ballast hoppers. All right, everybody. So let's go ahead and let's get some of the basics out of the way with these cars. As I mentioned in the intro, these were brand new to Conrail in the 80s. They're an oddball car as the sides aren't quite as tall as your usual ballast hopper. So what we're starting off here, as you guys can see, there's a what we're starting with and what we're finishing with here. We're going to be using an Atlas Portec 3000 covered hopper is what we're going to be using as the basis for our build here. And I bought parts from Atlas from their website. They sell individual parts, and as you guys can tell here, this is a body shell from one of those cars is what I'm using to make the shell of our car. Now what I'm doing here is I have this very thick tape. I don't know what exactly kind of tape it is, but it's very, very thick. And this is kind of a little hack I have here for when I have to do any kind of cutting or anything on a shell is I'll take this tape and I'll generally double it up and put it down the sides of the car to kind of give me a bit of a edge to get the saw blade up against. Now right now I'm cutting off these little end corner pieces because they're going to end up getting all messed up when we try to cut the side of the car with our saw blade anyway. So I tend to do that just out the gate that way to try to preserve the all the end ribbing pieces and stuff from getting destroyed and bent up and everything. And now I'm just kind of a little bit of time here. I'm just kind of working the saw up against that the edge of the tape, trying to keep it nice and even and trying to get a nice even cut, nice and straight. Just a little bit of time, get the ribs notched. I'm doing a little bit there on the end as well, so that way I kind of start working at this one end here. And just a little bit at a time. You don't want to go and start getting all crazy and trying to cut through this really fast because A, it's going to make the side of the car end up wavy and not flat. So you kind of want to work it a little bit here and a little bit there and just let the blade do the work. Don't be pressing too hard and screwing around. I think these took me about 10 minutes a piece to do all the sawing here to get this first part off. And when you're doing all this sawing and stuff, it ends up being kind of strenuous on the old hands. So you want to kind of make sure you take your time and take a break when you need to so you don't end up wearing yourself out a little bit there. But once we get that done there, you see we got our sandpaper out, my sanding block there. We're just going to sand the top of the car, try to even it up a little bit. You know, just nothing too crazy here, just a little sanding. And Here in a moment, we're going to take a little bit of a break here, kind of let our hands get back together. See, we're going to do a little, we're going to pet our friend Oreo there. He's our assistant here on the ONWV, so give him a little attention and kind of let the hand rest there for a minute before we start cutting some more on these. So now we're going to cut these gate deals off the bottom here. These would be for like the bottom discharge chute deals on this style covered hopper. We don't need those where we're going. Now there's like a little lip that you guys could probably see there that I'm pretty much just putting the blade up next to that because it's about where it looks like it is on the prototype photos. So I just kind of went with that and cut it right there. Use that to my advantage to keep that blade somewhat straight. Again, as I mentioned earlier, don't panic about the bottoms not being perfectly straight and square. It's going to happen. You got to remember, you're going to put ballast doors over the bottom of this car anyway, so it just needs to be close. It doesn't need to be a perfect square flush bottom deal, because those ballast doors are going to kind of cover all that up anyhow, so don't have to stress on that too much. But again, much like when we did the top cut there, you're just going to want to take your time, just kind of let the blade do the work and just do a little bit at a time. If you start getting frustrated, just take a minute, walk away, pet the cat like I just did, and do what you gotta do. The other thing I would say too is if you're gonna order these as parts from Atlas, I would recommend getting one more shell than what you're gonna do. Like if you're gonna do 2 or 3 cars, order a 4th one. That way you've got an extra one, so that way if you start cutting one of these up and you make a mistake, you have the extra car to the extra car body to go off of. Now that was what I did. I still have one sitting around. Now that we have all of our cutting done, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put a little notch here in the bottom of the car. Now, the reason I'm putting this notch in there is because there's no like frame rail piece to go in the middle of the car like what you'd see in a prototype photo. So what I'm doing is I put that little notch in with the saw there, and now I'm coming in with the chisel blade and I'm just kind of making it a little bit deeper. Not being too fancy here. I'm just literally just notching it out so that I could put a piece of like a strip styrene right at the middle so it'll look like a frame rail even though it's not. And now I'm taking and on the sides of those discharge parts we cut off earlier there, the bottoms of the hopper, I'm scraping off where that little ledge was and trying to get it somewhat flat and even. I'm not going to rip my hair out trying to get it perfect. I'm just going to kind of, get it so it's not as abrupt and apparent. Just trying to like soften down that edge so it's not a sharp 90 degree. Again, this is one of the parts where if you really want to get carried away in the weeds, you could sit there for probably 45 minutes to an hour getting those, perfect and pristine. But on the ONWV, that isn't very fun. So we just get it close enough and good enough and go from there. So we're going to keep on cutting that away. Just keep on working that bottom a little bit. Kind of soften those edges up. Alright, now you can see where our end detail got a little bit goofed up when we were cutting it there. That's going to happen. Not a big deal. I actually am cutting off the one side because this car won't have that according to the prototype photos. So we're just going to leave one side of that there and remove the other side of it. And do the same thing down here on this end. So you got to try and bend that back because I goofed that all up. So that happens. That's what glue's for. You can just glue it back. Ain't no big deal. That's another reason I kind of like doing this car from parts from Atlas as opposed to buying the actual car. Now there's our first part number right there. There it is for you if you want it. There's a part number. And this is one of the end pieces that goes in the end of the car. There's the other part number right there. All of the part numbers, the part number except for the part at the end that's like a -4, that's how many of them I ordered when I ordered these. So like I mentioned, if you guys go to Atlas's website and go to the parts department, you go to the PORTEC, I think it's under the Masterline cars, and it'll be the PORTEC 3000. Just start getting all the parts that you think you would need to build this car. You guys will see it there. You see me dump some plastic cement right there all over the workbench because, that's the way she goes. And now we have these little end pieces here. Again, another part number. And these will be going on the ends of the car here. I can't think of what that's called right now because I'm having a brain fart, but y'all get what I'm saying. It goes down there on the end of the car where the couplers go and that your wheels mount on and all that fun jazz there. Now, before we mount it, I learned this the hard way with building one of these because I did a test build before I filmed one. You're going to want to drill out for your stirrups. I'm using some A-line ones. So we're going to do the old CR Steve paint trick here where you take your stirrup and you dip it in the red paint. And then you put it on your car, and then look at that, you got yourself some little markers there where you got a drill at. Isn't that handy? So then, we'll get our little drill guy out there and proceed to make my hand and wrist hurt more. And, drill that out there. Get it nice and good like, so that way later on we can glue our stirrups on. I would not recommend gluing the stirrups on right now just because... I don't know about you guys, if I put like fine stuff on like that too early in a build, I always end up breaking it off and it frustrates me to no end. But I would definitely recommend to drill the holes now because I had a heck of a time trying to drill holes on the one I put on there and didn't do that too. So, and one other little thing here, I'm going to notch out the middle top side of this end piece here because we're going to be putting a little like stick of... styrene bar kind of deal right in there to help make our end detail look somewhat correct, to kind of, because there's a piece that goes straight up from top to bottom in the middle like a support piece on these cars, so you want to cut that out now so then again you're not trying to cut that out later on down the road. And of course more of a plastic welder, just throw that right up on there. And just some more, just, never be afraid to get a little heavy with the old plastic welder. You can never use enough of that stuff. I like how it like kind of melts the plastic together, but I don't like how sometimes it doesn't actually like melt it. It just kind of like turns it into like a goo together and it'll still break apart. But I like how it doesn't take like a day and a half like CA glue to dry, so try to use this stuff whenever I can while I'm doing this. Oh, we got another part number. These are the little doodads that go on the bottom of the car here that you mount your trucks to. Just put them on there, a little glue on there. And one thing I've found is whenever you're doing a build like this is the stuff that takes forever because you put those on, you gotta let them dry forever before you put your couplers on. There's another part number that's for the coupler boxes, bottom side there. And the screws I'm using, I'm very cheap, so I didn't buy the Atlas ones. I got these screws on eBay, oh gosh, like 2-3 years ago. I got like a lot of screws from somebody selling train parts. I wish they were still selling them because they had like 5 or 6 different size screws. There was like bags of 100. I bought a lot of them and I'm still getting use out of them to this day for builds. But just gotta go ahead and put our coupler boxes on there. Just found a screw that was close and I'm letting it work. Now while that's going, the pieces where our trucks are gonna mount are drying on, and hopefully they should be dry enough on so we could put our wheel sets and trucks on. Hopefully. I found out the hard way the first one I built that took a little bit of time to dry. Well, looks like I got smart this time. Got our ballast doors from Bowser here that we're gonna throw on next. Or maybe not. Maybe we're gonna put our trucks on. Oh yeah, that's what happened here. I was excited. I was gonna put my Bowser ballast doors on, and then I remembered that I kind of needed the trucks on there to eyeball where the ballast doors should sit at. So for trucks, I'm just using ones from AccuRail. I get the bulk pack 100-ton truck frames from them, and I just use the tangent wheels, the 36 or 33-inch semi-scale wheels. That's what I use, the Code 88 deal. I really like those. I buy those in bulk as well. So just the standard issue stuff there, nothing too fancy. Now for these Bowser ballast doors, there's like a little mold seam right in the center of them. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to trim off part of this little lip on the top side. So that these will sit on the bottom of the car right. You're going to trim that off, and then you're going to trim off, there's like an excess amount of it on the inside of it. You want to trim that off as well. You guys will, it'll be a little bit easier to understand when we get to the middle, when we actually mount them. But if you don't trim off like the excess from the inside, since these are meant to go on like a, oh god, they're meant to go on a different kind of car than this. They'll not want to fit right. They'll be overhanging onto the outside of the car and they look terrible. So it's easier to cut those off now while you have off the car than try to cut them off when they're on the car. So we'll get all that notched, we'll get all that set up there, and then we'll go ahead and kind of put them on there and eyeball them. Just kind of put them on there and get them about right. They're going to be a little bit offset to one end of the car or the other, because that's the way they looked like in the prototype photos, so that was what I went with here. Now when we're looking towards the center of our car here, you guys will kind of see there's going to be a little bit of gap there in the middle. If you would have left that inside piece on those ballast doors, that never would have worked right. There's our next piece we're going to be using there, some strips of styrene. And it's just, you know, we'll cover that up later, but these strips of styrene here are going to go right in the middle of the car. This is what we're using to make our faux frame rail. Now this again is one of them points where if you really wanted to, you could probably take and like triple up this strip styrene, or get the right size styrene and actually make a appropriate looking frame rail to go in the middle. I just took a single piece and put it right down the dang middle. I'm not that fancy. As long as it looks good from the side, that's all I care about. You know, I'm not gonna get too carried away there. We got some more strip styrene here, some 4x4. And what we're gonna do here is we're gonna start making our top parts here that go along the upper side of the car. And I'm just making this out of 4x4 styrene. Nothing too fancy here, just eyeballing it on, you know, get it, and it looks like it's pretty close. I always like to leave a little bit extra, then I could trim it down. So I'll just, you know, cut the first piece, I'll cut another one that matches it, and then I'll just kind of set them up on the car and eyeball them. And if I need to take a little bit off, I just keep taking a little bit off till it fits right, or it's close enough that I can tolerate it, one or the other. Now these were a little bit of a booger put on there, because you gotta kind of like put them on a little bit at a time, because that they tend to like to wave back and forth because it's such thin styrene. So just kind of do a little bit of time and just kind of put a little glue on, a little bit more glue on, a little more glue on, well, plastic welder glue. Just do a little bit of time. You can see here we're doing the opposite side now. And we'll just keep on applying the glue. Probably throw a little glue down there on our ballast doors too while we're at it and we're looking at them. See if I did the, yeah, there we go. Put a little bit more on there too. You never have enough plastic welder on there. You can never quite have enough. Now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna start doing our end frame pieces here. Same deal as the side ones. I just kind of put a piece up there, eyeball it, and then get it about right. And just get it close, and then, you know, just keep trimming it a little bit at a time until I could glue it in place and it fits right. But basically we're making like the end frame of the cars right now here. And we'll do the same thing here on the opposite end. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to take some sheet styrene. This is like the really thin stuff. I want to say it's like 0.005. It's like a sheet of paper. It's really, really thin. It's kind of my go-to for when I'm doing this kind of stuff, because I can just cut it out with scissors, and I like to play with scissors. So, you know, anytime you can play with scissors and trains at the same time, I think that's a good time. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. You guys tell me. But, you know, it's just easier to cut this stuff with scissors than sitting there trying to, like, hit it with a knife just right and, like, try to get a straight edge. It just makes me crazy. If I do it with scissors and get it close, it's going to be easy. So I just kind of cut it, eyeball it, cut it, eyeball it, cut it, eyeball it, and then when I get it close, I put the plastic welder on, throw it on there. No secret hidden tricks here. I suppose if you were a smart man, you could probably flip the car over and flip it over on the sheet of styrene and just trace the end of the car, and that would probably get you the right size. But, well, you know, sometimes we don't think of things like that until we're watching a video of ourselves doing it. As you can see, I also cut some blocks to put on the inside of the car there as well. Now here we are taking, and I had to get the different camera angle out here because this still isn't going to be very good to see, but there's a center support piece that goes from right above the coupler box right up to that top center section there that we have to make out of our 4x4 styrene as well. And just throw that on there, you're all good there. Now for some more fun, we're going to go ahead and put our stirrups on the car because, you know, got to get that CA glue out and see if we can glue our fingers together today. And of course, like usual, you know, you drilled the holes. I believe I drilled these out again before I even went to do it after I got the parts glued on there. And the little things still don't want to go in there, even though I drilled the holes a little bit big. And, you know, the usual. It's always got to fight you. The good projects always fight you every step of the way. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to do some grab iron adding here. I believe these were the 24, I want to see the 24 grab irons because they're not the little narrow ones that you use on a locomotive. They're pretty wide. But as you can see, I'm using my favorite paint trick again. You know, doing the old paint on the bottom of the car there. And proceed to drilling. Now, if I remember right, I had a bit of a problem with drill bits when I was doing this because you're supposed to use the little like .80 drill bit or whatever, the little guy. I think I snapped like 3 or 4 of them trying to do these because they're like on an angle. I think I finally went up to a .70 and just said the heck with it, you ain't gonna see it anyway. So went to a big bit and quit fighting with it, and just got a little gobby with the CA glue on the bottom there. And you're not gonna see it because it's on the underside of the car anyway, but there's all those up and on there now. And now we got to do our grab irons on the corners now. And for these, looks like I may have made some marks on there and I drilled them. Yeah, it looks like I did. And we're just, you know, putting the grab irons on the corners. Nothing too exciting here. This is pretty typical detailing here. Just, you know, throwing some grab irons in, drilling some holes. You know, doing our little marking with our red paint, and then we gotta get our drill out and try to drill through there, and regret using the really thin styrene, but it's okay. Just gotta, you know, drill it out a little bit. I think the hardest part of doing these grab irons like on the end of a car like this where they're gonna be sticking through is you have to cut the like grab irons down a little bit so you don't have those pieces sticking way far through to where everybody can see and it looks kind of poopy. And here you can see we're going ahead, we're going to put our end ladders on. These were also from Atlas. These are the proper end ladders for these cars. And you got to cut them down, obviously, because we cut the car down. So did the usual measured with one and then cut the rest of them based off that. And now we're going to go ahead and we're just going to glue them in place. And these can be a little bit tricky to get to sit on there. At least they were when I was trying to do them. I may have cut them upside down. That's very well possible. I would recommend that you check fitment a few times before you cut them. Because I think I might have cut a couple of them upside down because I just couldn't for the life of me get the dang things to go on there. But once they finally did, they looked great. But trying to get them on there was a bit of a pain. And of course our brake wheel, I also ordered that from Atlas and felt like a knucklehead because I had a whole drawer of them I didn't know I had. I think I got a whole bunch of them little things. But either way, you can get those from Atlas as well to build these, so go ahead and order them. And then, you know, fight trying to get it on there with the glue. Now the fun part, we gotta put some weight in this thing. A little bit light, so we're going with the Steve Classic here, the BBs, because you know you got to have the BBs because they're cheap and they're easy to work with. And you just kind of dump them into your side of the car, and then you just CA glue the snot out of them. Just give it all the CA glue. Now once your CA glue dries, you're going to want to put some dummy trucks on there for the painting here, as I did. And oh, look at that, we got some cold gray from MIG. Oh, look at that, cold gray. This is the same stuff I used on my other ballast car build. That it was a little bit too white. It did end up kind of darkening up a little bit during the weathering process, but it was just a little bit too bright for my taste. I'm going with a different color in the future, but that's what I went with on this one. And as you guys can tell, we're painting from the bottom up. So we painted everything from the facing downward side, and now we flipped over and we're painting the top side. And that way we get good coverage on everything. Make sure you let these dry a little bit in between painting, otherwise you'll have things running and turn into a mess, and you're going to have a bad time. Now that we got all that done, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put our couplers and wheels and all that fun jazz back on there. For couplers, I'm using the KD 158s. That's just my preference for everything. I just go with those. And as I mentioned earlier, we got the AccuRail trucks and the tangent code, or the tangent semi-scale wheels going on there as well. So nice and simple. Boom. It's time to do some decaling. Now, as you guys kind of could see there, but couldn't see it all because I sped this up too much, that is microscale set 87856. I hope that's what it is, because it's over in the corner of the picture right now, up there, the top left corner. And that was one of the sets I used to get the decals for these cars. Much like our last car build, nobody makes the decals for these, or at least, well, I do believe CMR Products has a set. I haven't checked them out yet to see how accurate they are, but they have a set available. But when I did these like 2 months ago, I didn't know about those, and I just kind of winged it with some microscale stuff and some stuff from Circuit City, and it came out pretty decent. In the future, I might be having some custom decals made for some projects, but that's a little bit down the road yet. These were just kind of a throw it together kind of build, something I wanted to do, but I didn't want to spend a boatload of money on custom decals. So as you guys see, there's some decals from Circus City going on there. I believe I used the road number font for those. But everybody's favorite part here, the old decaling. And yes, I sped this up. I think this is like on 10 times fast, because this takes forever, and everybody knows how. Decaling is one of those things that when you're sitting there doing something you don't want to go, you think, boy, I could really use some decaling right now, and then you go to do some decaling and you think, boy, I really don't want to decal at all. And that's the way decaling tends to go, because you could sit there for 45 minutes getting a number exactly straight. You leave it, you walk away, and you come back a half hour later and it's crooked. Even though it was dry, you soaked up all the liquid off the side of the car. That number still shifted. Always happens. Every single time. Drives me nuts. Alright, now we're going to slap some more some weathering on this here. I went very basic with the weathering. We got some rail brown going on the bottom side of the car, going along by the wheels, the trucks, the underbody, just blasting it. And then we got this bright rust orange I went with on the top inside of the car. I got a little bit of the old MIG wash going on there. Nothing too exciting. I really wasn't in the mood to weather these cars, to be honest with y'all. I just wasn't feeling it at all. So I went with kind of just a basic, light, nothing kind of weathering is what I'd like to call it. And that way in the future, if I want to come back and do something special with them, I can, because the base coat's just very light. Right now we're doing the old CR Steve classic of paint the wheels. Paint your wheels, please. Please paint your wheels. And, you know, I could always come back down the road and do something fancy with the roofs of these and add like rust and stuff, but for the time being, just the base rust was acceptable for what I wanted. And there you see, we're just throwing a little bit of a brighter orange on the ballast door areas just to spice it up a little bit and wiping it off. Looks good. There was what we were going for right there. You guys tell me. I mean, I think it looks pretty close. It's not perfect, but I think it looks pretty close. Came out pretty good, and this is something any one of you at home can do. Any one of you watching can do this. It's not perfect. I'll be the first to admit it's not perfect. But as always, guys, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.